Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of In the Kitchen with Baker Girl. Thank you, Jesus. It is a beautiful day to be in the kitchen, and today I want to share with you a recipe for a classic loaf style vanilla pound cake. Now we've done the bundt pound cakes, but today I'm going to show you how to make this delicious loaf tin vanilla pound cake that's delicious. You can serve it just as it is, maybe slice it up with some ice cream or some fresh fruit, or eat it plain, or you can follow along my recipe where I'm going to show you how to fill this cake with a delicious raspberry filling and a beautiful vanilla glaze. Now before we jump into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow along for more tips, tricks on this channel. I show you how to make sourdough bread, how to make biscuits, jams, pickles, all of those things from scratch. So if you're interested, please consider subscribing and follow along. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss out anytime I upload a video. Let's jump right on into the cake. Now in this bowl, I've got my butter, my softened room temperature butter and cream cheese. And I am going to add my sugar, and I'm just using regular granulated sugar. And I'm gonna be making this with a handheld blender. This actually belonged to my mom. So she made loads and loads and loads of pies with this handheld mixer. So I'm just gonna be using the handheld mixer today. And you just wanna start off mixing together the butter and the cream cheese. Just to get them loosened up. Okay. And then I'm going to add in my sugar with my speed on, my mixer speed on low. That way sugar doesn't fly everywhere. And just cream this together. It shouldn't take no more than maybe 2 minutes to cream it together. Okay, got that creamed. Now I'm going to add in my extracts. I'm just going to add in some vanilla extract. And you always add your extracts in with your butter and your sugar before you add in the flour. Some recipes calls for you to do it last, but really this is when you should add it in there. So go ahead and add your extracts in, and then just blend it for a couple of seconds. One thing I did mention, is I'm going to add in about half a teaspoon of almond extract. Almond extract gives any vanilla cake a really good flavor. Don't use too much, but a half a teaspoon is a plenty for to give it a good flavor. And then I'm just gonna mix it in for a couple of seconds. Okay, and the good thing about using a handheld mixer versus the KitchenAid is there's less stopping to scrape. There is still some stopping to scrape, but because you can move the beaters around, it's a little less. So, okay. Now I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of flour. That way when I add my eggs, the batter won't curdle. And I explained about why batters curdle in my pound cake video. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It explains why you always add a little bit of flour in at this stage. Just prevents the batter from curdling. And start out on low and mix that in. Okay, there's no need to mix furiously at this point. I'm going to go ahead and start adding my eggs. No need to mix furiously at this point. You just want to get it combined. So I'm going to add in 1 egg at a time. And mix in. Don't overdo it with the mixing. Just mix until the egg is combined and all of the bits of egg disappears. Okay. And my batter did not curdle. That's the point about adding in the flour. Now I am going to just give this one fold. At this point, the batter is very, very light and fluffy. It's bordering on being a little bit soupy. So now it's time to add in the flour. And I'm just going to use a small sifter to sift in my remaining flour. You don't have to sift it. I mean, you know, that's entirely up to you. I just like to sift it to make sure there is no lumps. Because there is lumps, you have to blend the batter more to get those lumps out. So just sift flour in. And I do have my baking powder and my salt already into my flour. When I weighed it out, I just put everything together. And I have here a half a cup of buttermilk. So I'm going to alternate between flour and buttermilk as I mix. Okay. I actually believe some batter went flying that time. Okay, I'm gonna wipe this down. And I'm going to give one more fold. You want to be careful at this point. You don't over mix your batter and cause it to collapse. It's looking real nice and fluffy right now, which is just what we want. And you don't want to collapse the batter with over mixing. So I'm going to give it one more mix, about 15 seconds, and then it's done. My mother had a unique way of lifting the beaters away from the mix and where it didn't fly. Unfortunately, I don't think I quite have her skill and talent, but I tried. It's not too bad. Anyway, normally I use my stand mixer, but for the purpose of easy viewing, I'm using this slightly smaller glass bowl that belonged to my mom, as well as her hand mixer, just because it makes it easier viewing. So now I've got my cake batter all ready, and you can see how nice and light and smooth it is, and it's very fluffy. And now it's ready to go into my cake tin. So I'm going to go ahead and butter and flour my cake tin. Now I've sprayed the inside of my loaf pan with baking spray. And now I'm going to put a piece of parchment right down the middle. Well, just fold it in. This is going to rise up fairly high. You don't have to worry about it spilling over the sides. It's not going to spill over the sides. Okay. Now, just give it a little shake. Make sure the batter is thoroughly settled in the pan. And this goes into a 335 degree preheated oven. And this is going to bake for about an hour, anywhere to an hour and 15 minutes. If it's more, if it's less, start checking it at around 50 minutes. Because some ovens bake faster, some ovens bake slower, but you have a window there of about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. But as I say, I'm going to start checking it at 50 minutes. Avoid opening the oven door so you don't tamper with the temperature. Every time you open it, the temperature drops. So just leave it in there, turn your light on, keep an eye on it, and let it bake. Now, to make the raspberry filling for the cake, I have here 2 pints of frozen raspberries, and I just froze these right in the container. And I like raspberries, although you can use strawberries and you can also use blueberries. But I'm today using raspberries. And nice, clean, frozen berries. And then I'm going to use the juice of a couple of limes. Now, I would suggest that you use lemon juice. However, I haven't got any lemon juice and I haven't got any lemons. So limes is what I have. So limes is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to juice about 2 limes. And I'm going to save the other lime for the glaze. Okay, so I've got all of my raspberries and my lime juice in here. I'm going to go ahead and add in the sugar. And I don't have a ton of sugar here because I don't want this to be very, very sweet. You know me, you know I'm not a person that's a massive fan of a lot of sugar. So I'm just going to toss this together. And then I'm going to put this on the stove and let this cook until it gets nice and thick and not quite to the jam consistency, but not quite, you don't want it to be in any ways runny. If you need to, you can add a little bit of cornstarch and water to thicken it up because you don't want this to be runny, but you don't want it to be so thick that it won't move either. So I'm going to get this on the stove and turn this into a delicious raspberry filling. All right, so the cake is done. You can see I did fill the pan all the way up, but the cake did not spill out because there's enough structure for this cake to support the sides. And of course, a skewer comes out clean. Now, because this is a dark cake pan, I did put the cake tin itself on a cookie sheet. This just prevents the bottom from over baking, which can happen with these dark cake tins. They're very good and they give you a very nice even brown color, but they can have a bit of a tendency to make your baked goods a little bit darker at the bottom. So, thank you, Jesus. That smells delicious. So I'm going to let the cake cool completely. Going to turn it out of the pan and have it ready to glaze. So while my cake is back there chilling, I'm going to go ahead and pour my raspberry sauce up into a container. Just makes it a little easy to handle. And as you can see, it's cooled. And because raspberries are very high in pectin, it thickens up as it cools. But don't overcook this. You only want to cook it on the stove for maybe 3 minutes at the very most. You don't want to start actually cooking it down, because then it'll not only will it lose that bright red color, it will also it'll start losing flavor as well. So no need to overcook it. Actually, I think I'm gonna switch to my spatula because I can't bear to leave a drop of anything in the pan. I'm sorry. Okay, so just spoon this in here. Okay. That smells so good. Looks a little messy, but it smells good. Now I'm gonna move on to get my vanilla glaze ready for the cake. Okay, so I've got here some powdered sugar, and I'm just going to, it's lumpy, but it'll be fine. I'm gonna whisk it, so there's no need to worry about sifting it, because the whisk is gonna knock any lumps out. And powdered sugar goes everywhere. I am going to add a little bit of almond extract. Just a little bit of almond extract. Not much. Almond extract is strong, so you don't want to use too much. And I'm going to grab some vanilla extract. Add a little bit of vanilla extract. Also, I have here about 2 tablespoons of half and half. And I have my reserved lime. Now, what I would like to serve this cake with is a cream cheese glaze. And to do that, you would just beat some cream cheese with the milk until it gets really thin. And then beat in your confectioner's sugar and add milk until it gets as thin or as, you know, as thick as you want it to be. But since I'm going to take this cake to an outdoor picnic, and I didn't want the cream cheese and the glaze unrefrigerated, because obviously at an outdoor picnic, we're gonna be refrigerating this cake. So I'm going to go with the next best option, which is just the basic vanilla glaze. And I'm gonna add a little bit of the lime juice in here just to give it a little zing. And that's good. That's about that's about a quarter of the lime juice in the lime. So I don't need all of it. And then I'm gonna add in my milk and just whisk it until you get it to the consistency you want. There we are, no lumps. And we still have a little bit of half and half left. I could add that in there, but I think this is the perfect consistency. I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour this up into my take-along container. There, so I've got both of my fillings and my glazes ready. And I'm just gonna pop my lids on my containers. And I like these containers because they are leak-proof. So you can throw these in your cooler and you don't have to worry about your ingredients spilling out. So I've got my raspberry filling ready and I've got my vanilla glaze ready. My cake is cooling. All I need to do is unmold my cake and pack it up and have it ready for my outdoor picnic. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and unmold the cake. It's cool enough for me to unmold it. I'm just going to slide a very thin butter knife right along the edges. You don't have to go all the way in, but this just kind of encourages the cake to move. There we are. Okay. And then one tip that I like is to hold the bottom of the cake pan and put your fingers at the sides like that, and then up, up. And you can hear the cake releasing from the pan. There she goes. She's completely released. And you see how it just jumps up and down. Do that before you do any flipping. That works with every cake. Always do that, especially a bundt cake. It just releases it without you turning it over and then risking it separating and just falling out of pieces, especially if the cake is a little bit warm. So now I have here a cake round and I'm just gonna flip it over. You wanna be quick about it so you don't squish the top of your cake. Ooh, thank you, Jesus. She looks good. She looks real good. She smells even better. So the pound cake is finished and it's cooling. As soon as it's completely cool, I'm gonna wrap it up and get it ready for my picnic. Pack it into my container along with my vanilla glaze and my raspberry sauce. And I will be ready for my picnic. Now, like I said, you can serve this plain just as it is. Just cut you some slices. It's good to go. You don't need to dress it up. A pound cake is good enough to eat by itself, but I don't eat a lot of sweets. So when I do, I like to kind of combine some of my favorite things, and I love the sweet tartness with the raspberry jam or strawberry and the vanilla glaze. So I'm going to dress it up with a little bit of the vanilla glaze, but it's ready to pack and take for my picnic. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please give us a like and leave a comment and let me know, what type of desserts do you look forward to making to take for a picnic? The good Lord willing, I will see you again in another video. Take care, y'all. Bye.